So as you see the house behind me, many people may know as what's called the sheriff house. So there's a lot of history behind the walls that some people don't even know. And behind you, behind the camera here, this is Deloge Drive here, and so many people passing by here probably don't even realize what this house is. So as far as the house, as far as what I can find, is well over 100 years old. And back almost 100 years ago in 1926, Constable Doss, for ones that don't know, a constable is basically like a lawman. It's an older term, but basically he was murdered on August 16th, 1926, through one of the back windows in the kitchen. So that's kind of a brief story about the house. I set out about 2 months ago, actually about 3 months ago. I started a podcast called Leadbelt Chronicles. Okay. Now that podcast I started out was to interview local individuals, business folks, just people that have a story to tell. But along with that, I also wanted to document local history and tell some stories of the local history. And so I stumbled across the house. Actually, I've known about this house for almost 10 years. And I want to give credit due where it's due. And I found out from a friend of mine named Donald LaPlante. He told me about it, and actually I've always been interested in history, but I'd never really looked into where it was. He told me it was over in Deloge in this area, but I honestly didn't know that this was the house specifically until actually Rick Wibbenmeyer, the owner of the house, approached me one day and said, "Hey, I own the house. If you want to come by and tour it, come on by." So long story short, I've been working on this project for about 2 months now, and it's going to be a 3-part series. First part, I'm going to talk about who Sam Doss was, what his character was like, because a lot of newspaper articles, they kind of just talk about the murder. They don't really talk about the backstory of who he was and everything. So by the end of the series, you'll feel like you get to know who Sam Doss was and why he was murdered. So that's pretty much the gist of it. So Leadbelt Chronicles is more of a interview style podcast. There's a lot of people that I plan to interview. I try and keep it very, I don't want to keep it very narrow. So that I always say, like, I like to interview business people that own businesses in the area. Not really just specifically small business owners, because I've also had a general manager of Menards kind of telling his story about how he got started and how he spent 20 years in Menards as a GM. And so it's not just business owners, but it's also influential people. That's kind of where he came in. So I like to talk to local individuals, because for me, I always learn by talking to people. I've learned some different things throughout the years just by listening and just talking. And it's just a great way to meet people in the area, as well as help network and also just help introduce people. Just some of these people may not be, in the eye too often. That I kind of want to, kind of highlight these businesses and kind of highlight to the mom and pop stores, basically. That's the whole goal with it: to promote business, network, meet new people, and also preserve history by just talking about local history, like I said, about like the Sam Doss story. There's many other stories I plan on doing as well in the future. So. I do want to give Chris Holsey a shout out. Him and his cousin, they own Holsey Properties over in Park Hills. I sent him a message earlier this week, kind of just wanting to ask him, like, hey, I heard that there used to be speakeasies back over in Park Hills back in the day. And not to give too much away, but the Prohibition had a lot to do with Sam Doss's murder. So he has allowed me to do some filming inside the original speakeasy in Park Hills. That was from the 1900s. It has a lot of original furniture, original pieces in it that is very neat. Another thing that's it's not guaranteed, but it's in the works. I was able to go out and speak with the out at the theater out at Mac, and I want to give Jason Carr a shout out, because I really appreciate him allowing me to do that. Because I'm looking for actors to play out different parts of the series, kind of to bring it to life, pretty much. So I went out and spoke with a lot of those the folks out there, and I had about 10 people raise their hands saying they're interested in helping out. So that's not guaranteed, but that shows 10 people are interested. because I'm looking for people that might want to play like, because I was just 1920s, so you'd have a lot of cowboys still. You'd have a lot of businessmen, suits and ties. You'd have, ladies walking down the street. So there's a lot of things, I'm planning on. But there's a few other little details I'm going to kind of keep a secret because they're not guaranteed yet. So kind of leave a mystery